Hey everyone, in this episode I'll be covering some of the updates in Sons of the Forest per patch 14. I only have time to cover the featured updates because, well, I have a Forest Service cabin awaiting me with luxurious amenities that only those with a high-class lifestyle like myself can enjoy. I'm going to be melting snow for fresh water before Endnight turns that into an update. This is what we have for the featured updates, so let's get into the first one. Added crafted arrow types: fire, shock, poison, and explosive. This is something I brought up in my totally not cringeworthy video about things I want to see updated in Sons of the Forest. In that video, I recognized that we've been holding on to poisonous berries, unable to drop them and unable to use them without hurting ourselves. Provided poison arrows were in the forest, I suspected it was only a matter of time that this would be a feature in the game, and I'm super excited it's finally here. But let's take a moment and check out the combat with all of these arrows. So we have new crafting recipes available. Let's open up our inventory. Okay, so this is all of what we can make with the arrows. So I'm gonna try to do the explosive 3D printed arrows. Yeah, C4 is gonna be hard to come by, especially in hard survival. From my experience, it pops up in the bins, which don't respawn materials after you open them in hard survival. So that's going to be kind of problematic. But I did see in one of the other updates, it's not, oh no, it is part of the featured updates, that there's going to be more detail and pickup items, so we might see more C4 on the map, maybe just freestanding so it's easier for people in hard survival. I only know that it respawns over by the modern axe. Each arrow has a different crafting animation, and the crafting sound for the arrows is different compared to the majority of the other crafting items. You can rotate out the types of arrows just like before. If you don't know how to do that, all you need to do is equip your bow and look down until you see the prompt to select R to rotate out your arrow types. Didn't I say we were going to look at combat with these arrows? Let's check that out for just a moment. For the fire arrows, there is an animation to light the arrow, the same type of animation that was in the forest. They don't take down all enemies at the first shot, but you can use the arrows to light dead enemies on fire to get bones. Once you use the fire arrow, you have to craft them again. So it's not like once the arrow is a fire arrow, it stays that way. The arrow loses its ability and you have to craft more to replace what was used. This is actually the case with all of the arrows, so the shock and explosive arrows are the most resource intensive because they require the likes of C4 and batteries, which again in hard survival aren't as easy to come by because containers don't respawn items after opening them. Let's make the explosive and the shock arrows interesting, shall we? Get the creepy Virginia here, and we'll try the explosive one first. Looks like it has a marshmallow on it. So that didn't kill her at first. That's kind of funny how she's chasing after that cannibal. Let's try one more time. Still didn't get her. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm gonna try the shock one now. Okay, so it stuns her. Nope, and the second one did it. Surprisingly, the explosive arrows don't kill the brute cannibals right away. You do have to shoot them a couple of times. But if you shoot the normal cannibals with an explosive arrow, it's an easy way to make a Greg. Next up, a new small cave added to the map and another question mark findable item. You will see the cave on the GPS and it is located near the fishing huts adjacent to the golf course. The entrance is accessed by breaking open floorboards in one of the huts, and you go down the stairs as if you are walking down to a cellar. There is a side room with nothing to pick up in it, but if you continue towards the barricade, you will find a note that hints at the purpose of the artifact. What the purpose is, I have no idea. Maybe this thing will be responsible for the dimensional shifts or something. Break the barricade and eventually you get into a room that contains the fifth artifact. The setup of this one is slightly different because the skeletons surrounding the gazebo type thing are coated in gold, or more likely solophyte. But that's about it. This is not the last artifact, as Endnight states in their opening to update 14 that this is the second to the last artifact, so I'm sure the mystery of the artifacts will be revealed in the next update. So what do you all think the artifact will be used for? Let us know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. Within the same chamber as the artifact, there is a waterfall, and if you head towards it, you'll find a findable book item. There are 5 findable book items that are part of this update. I'm telling you right now that I was only able to find 3 out of 5, alive. I know, my bad, but remember, this findable book item is a trap, and it requires a lot of resources, including one of your night bees, and this trap is gruesome. The other findable book items I was able to find can be found in the ice caves. As part of this update, the 3 ice caves were extended and detailed. The 3 ice caves are located here on the map. 2 of the caves have a rope that you use to drop down into another room where you can find more loot and the findable book items. There is also a new note pickup that's part of the update, and based on this note, I wonder if the last artifact will be in one of the ice caves. One of the other caves has an extended path that slants down to a separate chamber. There is no alternate exit, you go out the same way that you came in. One of the findable book items is a clock that you can add to your base's decor. The clock sets at 5 o'clock, and from what I can tell, the time does not coincide with the game's time. So if you want the time to be synchronized to what your GPS says, you'll have to put it up at 5 o'clock. If you're enjoying the video thus far, please hit that like button as it really helps people find me, and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. But let's get back to it. The other findable book item is another trap that uses spears as projectiles. You use 5 spears at a time, and when a spear is used, you can replenish the trap with 2 spears. I believe this is the only trap that requires additional resources to reset it. This trap does a lot of damage to the tougher enemies, including killing the fingers. Other traps like the fly swatter trap or even the Uber trap from the last update only stun the finger, and then you have to kill the fingers with a melee or something else. However, the trap's projectile only reaches a certain height, so creepies like the twins are able to evade the trap entirely. And that takes us into the next featured update, added buildable spear holder. So with just a few sticks, you can hold up to 20 spears in a spear holder. You can also tell Calvin to fill it as one of the commands. I like this update because I use my spear pretty often in combat, but I was losing a lot of them. So much so that I was running pretty low on duct tape in my gameplay. But between the Eddie Cannibal providing spears, Calvin being able to retrieve the spears, and having a spear holder, I'm thinking I won't have to use duct tape so much while playing this game, particularly for constructing spears. The next update is added a buildable double bed. One thing I didn't think to check while I was recording in the game is whether you can use moose hide for the hide on the bed. I'm pretty sure this is the case because you can use the moose hide for the wall hide. It's just that when you place the hide on the wall, it has the appearance of deer hide, so it's probably the same thing with the bed. I am curious to see how this bed is utilized by the NPCs, as in will both Calvin and Virginia use it to sleep together, or will it be used by one at a time? That's all I have to say about that. Endnight also added a new cannibal type named Igor. This guy is fun and wild. I had a lot of fun bumping into him while recording for this update. He has a disheveled pagan look to him, like what I would imagine Maria Friends would look like if she lost her mind. He goes in this juggernaut run where he follows you until he knocks you over, and I like that he follows you. He doesn't go in a straight line where you could potentially make a turn to evade him. He will follow you, catch up to you, and knock you over. The only way you can evade him is by getting to some higher ground. When I do these update videos, I play the game for a little bit to get a sense of what it's like to encounter these updates when you're just playing the game organically. And I thought that Igor was fairly common in the game. Like, Endnight added Frank a while back, the cannibal that sets himself on fire, and I don't think he's all that common in the game, but Igor seems to be just a tad bit more common. So I hope you all enjoy playing the game with Igor. Like I said, he's kind of crazy. The cannibals also got a new look where Endnight added new facial deformities to some cannibal faces. The deformities consist of either one or both eyes being swollen, or the cannibals have a growth on the side of their jaw. It looks painful, to be honest, but I'm curious if there will be some backstory as to how they got the facial deformities. Specifically, I'm wondering if they were subjected to mutations with the cube, or maybe I'm just reading too much into it, and maybe Endnight just wanted to give the cannibals more variation. It's probably the latter. There were a few updates to the world with more pickup items details to the cannibal camps and environment. I did encounter a few bins that were in new locations, and both the cannibal camps and deserted tent camps appear to have more loot than I remember. So this is what I mean by the update that speaks on the added pickups. Other details are more prop items where you can see things like corrugated metal sheets on the ground and more of those blue metal containers. I like the update made to the tarps where they are now draped over stumps or found on skeletons. To me, it's just all a cool looking aesthetic, really nothing more than that. If you have been playing around and have noticed other details, let us know in the comments down below. I think that's gonna do it for this update. When I get back from my weekend getaway, I'll put out another video to cover some of the other things I didn't have time to cover before I left. After that, I'll be doing my last gameplay video for Sons of the Forest, so I'll be beating the end boss. My plan is to get into some tutorials after that, specifically for Sons of the Forest, but I might do some lives for some other games. If you have any suggestions, let me know, but I'm sort of thinking I might be getting into Subnautica, even though it's super old. I just know that the Subnautica 3 is supposed to come out within a year's time or something like that. I guess that was just a little channel update. I never thought I would be doing that. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today. My name is Heather, and thank you so much for letting me put my game on for you. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!